Welcome back, all our 40k fanatics out there. I'm DJ.
And I'm Lane.
And we're here with Tim's Nation to bring you another Warhammer 40k battle report. After last week, in the triumphant victory of the Necrons, we had a lot of talking about it. And I heard a lot of comments. And there was a lot of feelings that with the current state of the meta, I probably would get walled by most.
It was a win, no doubt. But I also forgot a unit off the table, which might have contributed.
You didn't forget a unit. He just said, you know what? Not today. Not today. It's not our day. I'm staying home.
Okay, well, yeah. So I gave you a win by omitting that. So there you go. That was my little birthday present for you. But no, it's definitely a win was a win, but it may not be that case in every matchup. So
a lot of people, you were one of them, felt like the Immortals might be kind of not quite strong enough to handle a lot of things in the current state of the meta. A lot of that being the fact that the power level of things has increased, as we will see with one of the armies that's playing today, is just how much more damage things are able to do and how much more speed they can clear things off the field. Mm-hmm. And with that, I would lose a lot of resources. So Lane and I were discussing and talking about stuff. What's one way to get around not having enough resources?
To bring more resources, I guess?
Exactly. Today's matchup is going to be an interesting one, because with the Necron army I'm bringing has 22 units, while the Custodian list that Lane is bringing has 23 models.
I think that's a fair matchup.
So I almost have we almost have equal units to the number of models that you're bringing. Mm-hmm. However, that kind of does base down to the fact that if each one of your models can destroy 4 of mine, you will table me. So that's kind of where the math goes in that one. This is going to be interesting. I'm just kind of, as we call this is a little bit of spam crons. We're throwing a bunch of units on the table because one thing with Necrons is a lot of the units are extremely cheap for what they do. It's just when you turn them into 10-mans and start slapping characters on them, the points really, really go up there significantly, and more so than like some other armies have. A big one is the Lich Guard, 85 points. We're talking about the Subductors that are 80 points for 10 wounds, 10 models, mm-hmm. where the 11 got the doggy. But you have the Lich Guard, which are 5 guys, but 10 wounds at 85 points in a tougher and better combat profile, and they can reanimate. That's always a positive thing.
I disagree, but go on.
But needless to say, after last week, we did talk about the Custodes and the fact of vehicles being a difficult point for Necrons to handle in general. So, Lane's still bringing the Custodes.
Yeah, I don't have that many vehicles. I've got 5 of them, but it's some vehicles for you to play around with. And I've got the jet bikes, which are kind of like vehicles. I mean, they're toughness 7, 5 wounds, 2 up, 4 up. So kind of hard to chew those as well.
Basically only missing the vehicle keyword really on that. Yeah, they get very close to that stat line, probably just under in the wounds in that case. But needless to say, this game is going to be one where I have a lot of models to move. So let's jump over into introducing our list so we can start getting these things deployed. Lane, what do you got?
So we are going to go through these lists pretty quickly, but if you want to hear more about the units, their special rules, the enhancements, the detachments, and how we plan to use everything in the game, please go check out our separate army list videos where we go through all that. But right here, we've got a very quick rundown of my Custodes list today. We're doing the Solar Spearhead. It is 2,000 points even. I have a Blade Champion with the Adamantine Talisman enhancements. I do have a Contemptor Achilles Dreadnought that I've made into a character, and he has the Augury uplink. Then I have a Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought, who I also made into a character, and he has the Honored Fallen enhancement. Then we've got 2 Caladius Grav Tanks. Both of these have the... I forgot. Here it is. Let me find it. The Twin Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannons. They're not exactly WYSIWYG. One of them has the other turret, but I'm using them both as Twin Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannons. We do have a Contemptor Galatis Dreadnought. That's the sword and shield one. We do have a 4-man of Custodian Wardens. They're using spears. I'm using the rules for the spears, not the axes today. We do have a 4-woman team of the Prosecutors. And then we've got 3-mans of the Virtus Praetors, all of them equipped with the salvo launchers. DJ, what are you bringing today?
Well, Lane, I'm basically bringing what most people would consider a Necron collection. 107 models, that is going to be 22 units, and that is considering the characters that are joining units. We have 3 solo Locust Heavy Destroyers, 2x5 of the Flayed Ones, 3x5 of the Lich Guard Sword and Board, 4x10 Necron Warriors, 2 of the squads with the Gauze Reaper, 2 with the Gauze Flayers. 3 of the squads will be led by Royal Wardens, something I have not ever used in my entire history of 40K. It's the first time these guys are ever going to see play for me. 2 5-mans of the Death Marks, 2 3-mans of the Ophidian Destroyers, 2 of the 5-mans of the Triarch Praetorians, 3x3 of Scorpec Destroyers, and last but surely not least, Lane's best friend, you know him, you love him, Illuminator Xeris.
At least there's no Psychomancer for me to worry about today.
And I don't have the strat to stand Xeris back up after you destroy him.
Yeah. So I just have to destroy him. We'll do it.
If you can destroy him.
We'll get in there.
Now, I didn't mention, I'm playing Hypercrypt. So I have a lot of resources to be able to throw around the field. And also, I don't really use a lot of stratagems. This isn't very CP hungry. So I do have the ability to spend a command point and shuffle out a secondary. So my secondary game with this list is super strong.
Absolutely.
Like, for me to even say that, like, hitting 38, 40 points on secondaries could be almost a guarantee.
Oh, really?
That's not, but that's
almost a guarantee. Okay.
Almost.
I mean, it's totally possible. We'll have to see. We'll have to talk about that in the post game, see what actually happens here.
But the issue is that's only 38, 40 points for the game. My issue is going to be primaries. Getting on primaries and being able to score primaries with this list, because this is heavy MSU or multiple small units. So getting on those primaries once I'm on an objective with one little squad, it's not going to take much effort to clear them off. Now, I can put multiple units on there, which is nice, and make more things that make it a little more difficult to take them off, but then it's a lot of resources I'm spending. Yes, I am going on the loft of saying it is very strong, almost guaranteed possibility for me to hit that 38, 40 points on secondaries, because there's really nothing else that the army does. I teleport around the field. Whatever secondaries I get, I land. The biggest thing that's going to be a weakness, there's a couple of cards that if I draw them at the wrong times, I could score significantly less on those.
You never know on turn 1, because sometimes you pull bad ones on turn 1.
Yes. So there's that. That's why I say almost a guarantee. But I can say this, I will score very high on secondaries. Primary is going to be where the issue is that I can get really walled out on primaries because I don't have the strongest and durable units. I have volume of units as compared to you, where you're at a little bit of different columns. So talk real quick before we start this game, your secondaries and your primary, how you feel about being able to score those.
Well, I've got 10 units. I feel pretty good about that. I mean, it's no 22, but I feel pretty good about that if I need to do actions here and there, I can. I have a lot of mobility with the jet bikes, so when it comes to like behind enemy lines or something like that, I can get there. I do have one little 4-man squad of the sisters to maybe go out and do an action somewhere. We'll see how long they last on the table. But I feel good. I do have, like I said, 10 units. So if 2 of them need to do actions or get somewhere, I feel pretty good about the rest of the armor being able to contribute some damage output.
I feel like there is, though, kind of if we look at it, equal opposites on this. Your army is going to do much better in the primary sort of the game, where I do much better in the secondary sort of the game. Just because of that units is like where you're going to have to actually go, do I want to try and complete this secondary, or do I want to eliminate a target? For me, I just go, which unit's going to go complete this secondary? Because of, again, Hypercrypt being able to pick up the units. I do have the Ophidians, so even though we got reduced down to only 2 units, I can still pick up the Ophidians and 2 other units, which is the only enhancement I took because of points, and kind of looked at them. We're like, even though some of them were like, oh, look, auto deep strike or an extra unit, we're kind of looking through. I was like, I really don't need a lot of these. So instead, all I did was take the 15-point enhancement for one of my Royal Wardens to be able to auto advance 6, just to be able to guarantee that one unit's able to kind of block for Xeris, and so we don't get Xeris charged when I don't want him to. All right. Time to roll the dice. Lane, odd or even?
Even.
I think we're gonna call that a reroll, even though it looked like it was odd.
Just DJ, you got one more chance, and I'm gonna roll it. There we
Hey,
go.
I did it, and it's even. So, Lane, I do have infiltrators.
I do not. I guess it doesn't matter really because you have so many units, but I'll have you drop first.
Oh, okay. Well, it just means that my hour deployment might only take 55 minutes. So, if you see that we changed clothes because we went and took a nap and everything like that, that's my fault because of deployment. And yeah, we'll be back after deployment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are deployed. Lane, what are we doing here today?
We are playing the glorious game of Warhammer 40,000. Our deployment today is Search and Destroy. Got the table quarters with the 9-inch radius bubble in the middle. And then our mission rule today is Hidden Supplies. That just means we have an extra objective in the middle of the table. And our primary mission is Take and Hold. 5 points for each objective you control in your command phase, up to 15 per turn. So vanilla Warhammer.
Alrighty, so for deployment, I do have 4 units in Deep Strike. I have 2 of the two Trier Praetorians, as well as the Death Marks. As far as everything else, we are playing Hypercrypt, so there's everything else, kind of. We just have units ready to get out there, start whooping and wallop, and as the game progresses, we kind of need to have that opportunity to spread out, just because I don't want to give Lane that first turn to just be able to fire volleys into my army. And it really, with Search and Destroy, there's really not an advantage of like, okay, but if I go first, I can move this far out, because that 9-inch bubble realistically kind of puts me still right back in this corner. The only ones that are kind of importance, we got a whole bunch of warriors here, Lich Guard here, Lich Guard here, Lich Guard here. Ophidian's ready to jump off the table, but we do have the flayed ones. So this squad out here took a minute of deliberation. They are more than an inch away from the wall, but they're in a position where they can go and do some secondaries depending on what I draw in the first turn, like a first turn containment, first turn engage, stuff like that. And they're in a solid position, even though it seems really, really like they're not in the best position. They can get blasted off the table. Not a lot of these things can move and shoot them first turn. The only thing that really could take them out is this little 3-man squad right here.
That's a
5-man
squad.
5-man squad. 5-man squad. However, if Lane wants to do that, he's going to have to clear the wall, which is very feasible. They can advance and charge once per game. It's very feasible. He could totally do it if he wants to. But then that puts this squad really close to me, where I can shred it and take it out pretty, not easily, but I can do a lot of damage to it, considering then when it's at. The other squad of flayed ones is over here, holding this objective, and giving me kind of a little bit of a deep strike zone as I start bringing things in. I don't have to worry about Lane on the deep strike, so yeah, that's a positive. All right, Lane, what are you doing?
We're all on the table here, ready to go. Nothing in deep strike. We're just ready to move up the table. Jet bikes, Caladius ready to move out there. I wasn't too worried about DJ's shooting threat, so we're kind of just pushed out so we can move out there. We, of course, have the Venerable Contemptor here. Another Caladius in the middle. We've got the 4 Wardens with the Blade Champion here. 4 Sisters of Silence inside the building here. And then the jet bike's ready to shoot out and get on an objective. And then the Galatis is here to just hold on to my deployment zone objective and make sure nobody steals it from me.
Oh, man, I don't know if I have a unit to hold my backfield objective.
Yeah, you've only got 22 units?
Yeah, 22.
Yeah, I don't think you can spare any.
Oh, man. So now when you said that squad's a 5-man, it's a 4-man with a Blade Champion, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's what I thought. All right. So in this matchup, Lane, what would you prefer, going first or second?
Second, just so you don't go second.
That's the way. I think that's the way it is with any of the up-down style armies like Hypercrypt and Grey Knights. Obviously, I'd love to go second. First doesn't really do too much for me, except allow me to start moving the scoreboard and possibly move the scoreboard early on. So yeah, would prefer going second, but I can go first. All right, let's let the dice decide. 1.
That's going to be me.
All righty. So it looks like Lane will be going first. Do you have any scout moves?
Nope.
I do not either. So all that's left is it's time to play the game.
So for my first turn, I pulled Overwhelming Force and Area Denial. So we just kind of pushed everybody forward out on the table. Jet bikes advanced over there. We've got the Wardens moved up here. I did not advance them. I figured they can probably make a charge into these guys. Maybe we'll kill some Flame ones and then have to just survive until the next turn. I did move up here in the middle, so the Venerable Contemptor is up here within 3 inches of the middle. That dice is marking the middle because we did have the extra objective, so we don't have an objective right in the middle. And then these flayed ones are hanging out on this objective up against the wall, so these Vertus Praetors are going to charge in there and hopefully kill them.
Hindsight, I probably shouldn't have been on the objective. I probably should have been an inch away, but as well, that does bring those bikes out so that there's things I could do damage to. So we'll see how much I regret it.
Scorpex over here that I'd love to get their little hands on some jet bikes. So we'll see what happens. See if I make the charge.
Scorpex don't have hands.
They're little blade hands. Right. All right, so we'll see if I make any charges. These Vertus Praetors were able to pick up these flayed ones, and the Blade Champion, the Wardens, were able to pick up those flayed ones. No real big surprises there. It's just going to be, did I choose wisely to trade these guys? How much is DJ going to hit me back? We'll find out here in a second. So that's it. I did score 3 for Overwhelming Force for killing these guys off an objective and 5 for Area Denial. On to DJ.
No prisoners and as well Overwhelming Force is what we're looking at for this turn. So at the end of Lane's turn, I picked up 1 squad of Lich Guard and 1 squad of Scorpex before drawing, as well as the Ophidians, because they can drop in no matter what. So we moved up here. Nothing advanced, so these Lich Guard are able to charge, which they probably will, just to at least try to slow down these guys as much as possible. We'll see how that goes, because they do hit kind of hard, and they do hit with 2 damage weapons, and I'm, 2 wound models. So we'll see how that plays out. But we did move up these warriors, and they are all able to shoot, so whichever ones are in range are going to put shots into the Custodes and try and do a little bit of damage there and try and whittle them down a little bit. Then we moved up the rest of the warriors. They're getting ready to go in for the later points of the game. This Locust Heavy is up top, and so is in this one out here to be able to put shots into that Dreadnought, because again, we have no prisoners, so we got to eliminate some stuff. And then lastly, we're trying to bring as many things as we can to bear against this squad of bikes. They are tough, and so we need to hit them really, really hard. So those Lich Guard and Scorpex I told you about came in over here. So 2 shots in a 9-inch charge over here, and then we have Scorpex and Lich Guard that are a little bit closer to charge in as well. These Scorpex advance just to tag that objective, to be annoying, and at least be something on that objective, so hopefully we can take out that Dreadnought, and then we technically hold it.
If that Dreadnought dies on a 2-up, he comes back up. This is the reanimating Dreadnought.
Okay. And I still get the...
You get the credit for killing him, but he'll be back up there at OC3 on that objective.
Okay. I did not know that. I did have a little bit more on my advance. Let me double check the measurement. I probably could bring 2 Scorpex to bear on there. I thought I just only needed the 1. So I might adjust that real quick. They were sprinting. So yeah, and then we're going to do some shooting. Impressively, the first squad of warriors that shot was able to pick up the 2 Custodes that I was able to see and shoot. So that's happy days for me. And then one of my Locust Heavies of the 2 that were able to shoot, these 2, the one down here and the one that is actually on top, were able to shoot, and one got through to do damage. And then this squad was able to finish them off because of lethal hits are kind of cool and kind of good. So I was very surprised, very impressed there. He will be standing back up with 6 wounds remaining after this phase, once we move to the fight phase. Then we shot over here with Xeris, because Xeris had no more targets. He did pop a bike for 3 damage. And that's it for the shooting. So now we're going to do some charges and see how this all unfolds. So, left the building out of the way for a minute. We did charge with 1 squad of warriors and the Lich Guard. And Lane interrupted, and he was able to smack 2 Lich Guard away. Got some involves in there. And then a big chunk of the warriors away. The goal was to just have enough OC at the end of the turn to take the primary away from Lane so we couldn't hold this one for primary, and we were successful. Warriors are OC 2 apiece, and the one on Lich Guard gives us 11 versus Lane's 9 because of the +1 for the banner. So that's a win there until they get turned around and get smacked next turn. Over here, we do control this objective by 1, even though the Dreadnought does stand back up. So that will give us that one. And sadly, we got so close. The Scorpex and the Lich Guard were able to charge into the bikes. The Scorpex did phenomenal damage going in there. Took the squad down to 1 guy and 3 wounds by themselves. And then the Lich Guard dropped him down to 1 wound. We're not able to take him out and got punched and lost 2 in exchange. So did not quite work out as well as I was hoping for the no prisoner point of it, but we did get a 5 for secondaries for being able to score a little bit on some of the other secondaries. So, all right, let's kick it over to Lane and his turn 2.
So for this turn, I pulled Storm, Hostile Objective, and Cleanse. So we scooched up the sisters here, just cleanse there. Moved out the jet bikes. They're just going to try and shoot this guy off the top of the building. We don't like him at all. I moved up the Achilles Dreadnought so he can charge in and hopefully wreck the Lich Guard here. And then moved forward to get within Lone Operating so we can shoot Xeris. We don't like him. Maybe that Caladius will do some work to him. And then jet bikes came over here to shoot these Scorpex. This Virtus Praetor, or not, this Caladius is going to shoot these Scorpex. This guy's going to try to cleanse, just hoping we control this objective by the end of the turn. Oh, wait, he's in engagement range, so he can't cleanse. Never mind. Never mind. So, yeah, we will do a little bit of shooting and then see what happens. All right, so these guys shot at the destroyer up on the building here. He made all the saves. Good for him. Both the Caladius and these 3 jet bikes shot all their anti-tank shots at these Scorpex and killed 2 of them. So it hasn't been going really great for shooting, except for the fact that the combined efforts of the Caladius and the Venerable Contemptor Dread were able to bring down Xeris. So that makes me happy that we killed something.
Nothing else can happen as long as Xeris is dead.
Xeris is dead. Yay, yay, yay. Now we got to do a little bit of charging and do a little bit of fighting. Well, after not doing a whole lot in the shooting phase and being a little frustrated with some of the saves there, we just kind of swept through here. And the Achilles came and picked up the remaining Lich Guard. They picked up the remaining warriors. His flat 3 damage was very nice, and the 3 Scorpex were there. And then the jet bikes, Virtus Praetor, 1 put into the Scorpec, and the other 2 put into the Lich Guard there and swept through and killed all those. So very good in terms of damage output. Very efficient in picking up the units we needed to. And a moral victory for having finally killed Xeris. I don't remember the last time I actually finished him off in a game. So I scored 3 points for Cleanse because the girls cleansed over here. And then Storm Hostile Objective was successful because DJ did control this one. And this one, and this one at the start of the turn.
For this turn, it's Secure No Man's Land and Sabotage. So, if you can't notice, we are all over the board. Although we did lose 5, 10, 15, 20, 36 dudes in that turn and Xeris, we still do have a lot. And so in this turn, we need to kind of remove some Custodes and remove some assets. Because although Lane hits really, really hard, each individual model hits hard, and as I remove them, we, that's kind of how things go. For me, as we talked about Lane's numbers before, for me, I just need each one of my units to kill 1 model, and if each one of my units can kill 1 model, then we can keep this battle of attrition, in a sense. So let's go from my right across the field, talking about deep strikes. So obviously we picked up the Ophidians. And they landed here, and they're going to provide a screen for the Death Marks, who are going to try to sabotage over there. We picked up this squad of warriors, and we're bringing them in here. Their goal is just to pick up that squad of sisters over there, just so we don't have to deal with that resource anymore. This squad of Amphibians landed. They have 2 options on the charge. 1 to go into the bikes, or 2 go into the dreadnought. Either one is not a good fighting choice for them, but if we can pick up at least 1 bike prior to before we get there, then maybe we can slow them down, which is kind of the goal, just kind of slow them down. Over here, this is kind of some rough beats, but we did bring in Praetorians, which have 2 damaged weapons. So they're going to shoot and try and finish off 1 of the wardens, hopefully, the one that's on 2 wounds. And then we'll have these guys just pour their shots in to them and maybe hurt the dread with some lethal. And we'll see how that goes, because I don't expect to pick up the dread, but yeah, that's kind of where we're going there. Over here, these warriors moved out. They'll potentially charge the dreadnought unless the dreadnought is gone, in which case we will just charge the tank to be able to tag that objective for secure no man's land. And then over here, we didn't pick any of these guys up. They just moved so that they can charge in and kind of try and clear some of this mess over here with the Lich Guard and the Scorpex. Didn't do too bad last time. We left ourselves 1 bike. And then we did bring in a squad of Death Marks over here to hopefully finish off that bike. 2 damaged weapons. Hopefully, maybe they can stick it through and get that 1 bike out of there. So then these guys can just charge in the fresh squad and then try and tie up that tank for a little bit. So yeah, that's going to be it for the movement. Let's do some shooting and see if we can't clean some of this mess up. Well, if you haven't noticed, not very much got picked up in the shooting phase. Didn't really do very much. Lane popped the Feel No Pain, so we were not able to finish off that last warden over here. So he's got 1 wound left. And that means we're going to have to charge. Not really much of a choice. We got to keep pressure over there. Over here, we only killed 1 Sister of Silence. He saved everything over here from them. So we're going to try a long 9 on the charge. And the Amphibians are going to have to try to be brave boys. Lane's got 2 command points, so he could theoretically interrupt. So hopefully we can get a lot of things in his face. Then over here, the Death Marks missed with 4 and failed to wound. So that was it really for the show. Oh, and then the Locust Heavies were able to pick up the Dread. So we did knock him off the point, which is good. And now we're going to do some charges and see what we can do some work there. So over here, the Scorpex did pretty well. Once again, being able to do a lot of damage to the bikes. Lost 1 in the crackback. Lich Guard, not really the profile going into this. Still unable to take this guy down with 1 wound. He is invincible, but they were able to finish off another one that had 1 wound left, so that's a good thing. Over here is kind of where more of the magic talk. So Lane did interrupt with the Wardens, and he was able to pick up most of the Necron Warrior squad, leaving me with just the Royal Warden and 1 Warrior. But he was not far enough away for these guys who completed their charge to pile in, and they did enough damage to finish off both of the Wardens. So the Wardens are gone. And yeah, then they did, I think they hit 1 guy, got 1 through on the tank too. So they damaged the tank, so that dropped its OC value, which means now we control both the center objectives for this time being. And that's about it. So right now, the Dreadnought and these bikes are not tied up, as well as this Dreadnought over here. And there's some Sisters of Silence in there, but I'm not too concerned about them. They are not the biggest beasts of the Custodes army. They're just somehow survived. And then we're still sabotaging over here. So we still have a lot of resources. And we did tie up some things, so that's kind of good to be able to see what we can do as damage goes out. And now that there's a lot less bikes over here, that will help me in the later portions of the game, which we're going into. So let's see. We did secure no man's land, and we're waiting on the sabotage. All right, over to Lane and his turn.
So we pull behind enemy lines and secure no man's land. So I'm going to secure no man's land. I also pulled Call the Horde, but DJ did not bring a Call the Horde type list. He had no hordes for me to call.
Yeah.
The army is a horde, but no individual units are hordes. So we're just going to do some killing here. So the Sisters got over here and going to hold on to that objective, whereas Praetor is going to go and try and wreck some Necron warriors here. We're going to try to move up with the Gladys here to charge into these guys and shut off the
Sabotage.
Sabotage. Yep. Blade Wizard is very confident that he can survive being hit by these guys first and then slap them back pretty hard. For behind enemy lines, I moved up the Achilles Dreadnought so he can charge those guys, hopefully kill them. He'll be within no man's land. Both tanks stayed where they were, and these two Virtus Praetors are just staying there. So hopefully they can survive whatever attacks go into them, and hopefully the tank can shoot these guys a little bit, maybe pick up the Scorpex. Let's do a little shooting. So shooting, the Virtus Praetors picked up 2 of the Ophidians. Then the Achilles shot the destroyer down that was up there. This tank, Caladius, picked up 3 of these guys in shooting. And this Caladius picked up the Scorpex, what were there. So now it's charge o'clock. Do a little bit of punching. So the Galatis couldn't pick up 5 of these guys. I put all my attacks into these little sniper dudes. What are they called?
Death marks.
Death marks. And one of them survived, which means he will complete sabotage. Over here, the Virtus Praetors picked up the whole squad, but left the Warden alive.
Look at me.
At least the squad's gone. And then over here, the Achilles only managed to pick up 2 of these Ophidians, so 1 survived. Of course, the Blade Wizard was able to wreck the rest of that squad. And then one of my jet bikes was finally killed, and as I picked up 1 of them.
No, didn't pick up any of them.
Didn't pick up any of them. Yeah, you made all your saves. So, secure no man's land. We did successfully do, because we have secured the no man's land. And then behind enemy lines, we got 1 over there for 3 points there. On to DJ.
For this turn, I had recover assets, which I shuffled out because I didn't want to be doing too many actions this turn. And instead, I have containment as well as assassinate. So there's 2 characters left on the table. This guy right here, the Royal Ward, or the Blade Wizard dude,
Blade Champion,
and this guy. So assassinate's going to be kind of going to need to get a little lucky with it. We do have 2 Locust Heavies that are able to hit, but basically we're on a hit, wound, and don't roll a bunch of feel no pains for his enhancements, and then he goes away and I score an easy 5 on assassinate. I could theoretically put some shots in here because I did fall back with the Warriors. The Royal Warden allows me to fall back, shoot, and charge. Wasn't quite able to clear the vehicle entirely to be able to do that, so I could try to do some damage to him, but realistically, it's really not going to be enough to be able to take him out, so that's a thing. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to try and skunk the Custodes on primary. These guys are still here. They passed their battle shock and reanimated a Ophidian, so they're going to rush over here. I fell back with these Ophidians. They're in a really bad position, but at least in order to take care of them, Lane's going to have to chase them, kind of. And then the Royal Warden also fell back just as well as kind of go one of those things of like, if you want to get me, you have to actually come after me and get me. Now, we're only going to be able to contain for 1 because we brought the death marks back down over here for them to contain. And then the death mark, the single dude, I did spend a command point to reanimate in reserve so that I could bring 2 more back, and they're going to hold my home field objective and try and put a pop shot. So maybe if there's like a wound or 2 left, they can get lucky and maybe do that to him. Not very optimistic on that one. We're relying more on the Locust Heavies. And the Praetorians could have scored me additional points. We'll see at the end of the game if that matters, but I'm bringing them over here because, again, I want to try and reduce Lane's primary by bringing more threats in here, finishing off this bike. I think this bike, he's damaged or no?
No, he's fresh.
He's fresh, so try and do some work over there. Had some decent reanimations. We bringing some dudes back, so let's see if we can't do a bit of damage here. Shooting-wise, didn't go as planned. We hit, we wounded, and Lane made 5 out of the 6 of the feel no pains.
The enhancement paid off. It's a 5-up feel no pain. I made 5 out of 6. So nice.
And then, so that was really it for the shooting. There wasn't very much there. So then we went into charges. So we charged over here. We were able to pick them up easily. We charged in here. Lane chose to heroic, which cleared enough of them to stop me from taking this objective from him. And we just beat the tank up a little bit. It's down to 8 wounds. And then we charged over here, took the objective, as well as beat up some of those. He's down to 2 wounds, and the tank still has 12. So that thing's probably going to live for the rest of the game, but at least we did some decent damage going into it. So we did contain. We're going to hold on to assassinate because there's 2 characters that if we can accidentally kill, that might be good for that. Actually, no, I think I'm going to pitch assassinate because that involves me taking down one of these 2. And I don't necessarily think I'm really in a good position, especially after your next turn. So I'll probably just pitch assassinate for a command point and hope for maybe use it on a reroll. All right, kick it over to Lane.
This turn, I've got extend battle lines and defend my stronghold. I did pull sabotage, but I spent a CP to pitch that out. So we're just going to try and reclaim some primaries here. We only got 5 on primaries this turn. So I've got the Achilles going to come over here and try to do some damage, pick up these Ophidians. The Virtus Praetors moved out here. They're going to try and shoot the Royal Warden and then charge into these Ophidians here. He has come back. The Galatis has come back to reclaim my deployment zone objective, so I can score both of my secondaries. And that's it for movement. Oh, the Blade Wizard came out here. He's going to charge somebody. Do a little bit of charge in here and hopefully pick up the warriors. Maybe this tank will pick up a couple of these guys. So, and then we're just kind of stuck over here. Kind of a little stalemate we got going on. So we'll do a little shooting. So for this turn, we have rolled the shooting and the fighting into 1. So the shooting, the Virtus Praetors picked up the Warden over here, and then we just picked up 1 more of these destroyers hither. And then for fighting, the Achilles charged in and finished off those Ophidians. These Virtus Praetors charged in and finished off those Ophidians. The Blade Wizard charged in and finished off the regular dudes, the warriors. And then the tank had picked up 2 of these guys in the shooting phase. And then that's a little bit of fighting over here.
Kind of a combine the shooting and the fighting to bring the Praetorians down to 1 as well over there.
Yeah. And then the Lich Guard here just did 1 wound to the jet bike, so he's down to his last 1. And that's it. So extend the battle lines for 5, and then defend stronghold will score at the end of DJ's turn for 3.
So for this turn, we got established locus. We originally had area denial, but with this big tank here, I wasn't feeling too comfortable with it. So I pitched that out, and that's where I got established locus from. As far as assassinate, we brought this guy in here. We brought these guys over here, established locus with the death marks, shot with him, and rolled a 1. Well, that tended to be the trend for this turn, because as we got over here to the Lich Guard, we hit decently and could not get a single wound. Failed every single one of them. Every single hit. So this 1 bike with 1 wound is still alive. And we did literally absolutely nothing. We established locus and that was it. So yeah, that's going to be the end of... Oh, we were able to resurrect 1 of these guys. I spent a command point to auto-pass their morale so that I was able to extend it a little over there and take this objective. So I did get a 15 on primary, but that's going to be it. All right, kick it over to Lane in his turn 5.
So we just kind of rolled my whole turn in here. So we got assassinate and establish locus. I'd already killed all the characters in DJ's army, so I automatically score assassinate. And then I moved the Caladius over there to establish locus in his deployment zone. The Virtus Praetors moved forward and shot the destroyer, what was here. This tank shot the last 2 Praetorians that were here. These guys were able to finally get a wound through on that last Virtus Praetor and pick him up. So that is the end of my turn. Scored 9, 5 for assassinate, 4 for establish locus. On to DJ.
All right, so for last turn, we did spend a command point because we wanted to look into better on secondaries. That assassinate was hurting us. Really weren't able to take out the characters. We did pick up engage on all fronts. So I spent a command point to drop the death marks in right here to be within 6 inches and try to shoot the Blade Wizard down. They were able to punch a wound through, dropping them to 3. And then these death marks got in a position to shoot as well, but did not do any damage. We moved the Lich up because if we were able to get him to a weaker position, maybe 1 wound, we could charge in there and be able to kind of shimmy back to not lose the engage on all fronts. But with him having 3 wounds left, it really wasn't worth it because if we don't take him down, then we lose the engage on all fronts as well. So we just held out, kept the engage on all fronts, were able to score 15 on primary, making a good scoring, very brutal game, very tough because a lot of stuff I'm punching up into. Very brutal game, but this one is going to go to the Custodes with a final score, Custodes 90, to a Necron 75. So very brutal game, very interesting for the Necrons in this list. Got a couple thoughts about it. Not completely, not feeling like it's totally terrible, but I definitely felt like I would like to have had a little more shooting in there. But you know, we'll discuss all that in the post game and see how this all feels and see how how Lane like just the durability of the Custodes in some situations and where some things just did not want to go away, especially those bikes. All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.